What's going on, EoP sports fans? It's Big Al here by himself tonight. Joe and Fred are off tonight for the holiday, so you'll see them back next week. Trust me, they will be here, and we'll be ready to talk more Philly sports to you. But tonight is going to be a solo night with your buddy Big Al. I know the Sixers are on the TV. I got them here to my right. Uh, Mute that. Comment along here. I want to talk with you. You guys will be my co-hosts for the night. So please feel free to chime in. We're going to talk a little 4 for 4 tonight, touch on some major topics. Of course, the big topic is going to be your Philadelphia Eagles finally getting off the schneid, winning against the Giants on Christmas night. A bit of a Christmas present around the NFL coming into it. But real quick, I want to thank our great sponsors at sherrystickets.com, cherryinjurylaw.com, and phillysportstrips.com, as well as Dolan's Bar. So, like I said, guys, mute the Sixers game. Sixers are playing the Magic, who are in the fourth place right behind them right now. So, hoping to keep them behind us. Right now, it's 65-59. I should say 66-59 after that in the third, with about 7 minutes left in the third quarter. But we're going to talk Eagles right now, so let's just jump into it. And this segment is brought to you by sherrystickets.com. Use that promo code EOP10 to save 10% off at sherrystickets.com. So, as I mentioned, the Eagles beat the Giants. They are now 11-4. A very odd 11-4 right now for how out on this team that most of the fan base is and has been for a few weeks. And it's on the Eagles. I can't. I'm not blaming the fan base that much anymore for overreacting. In some ways, there's been overreactions, but generally, if I was to go back in time and tell you guys before the beginning of the season that this team would be 11-4 with 2 games left against the Cardinals and the Giants, even in the beginning of the season, you'd be very thankful for that. You'd be excited about that. I think most of us having them about anywhere from 4 to 6 losses this year. So they're right into that category, but it's just the way things have been going around. It's just the way that this team has played that makes everybody feel not so warm and fuzzy all the time. Rye, what's going on? Big Al, yeah, that's Big Al tonight. So, Rye, feel free to chime in, comment along, question on with everybody else. We're going to talk about the Birds, and we're going to talk all 4 for 4 as well as keep you guys up to date on this Sixers game and have a little Sixers conversation with you as well. So, like I said, not as warm and fuzzy as this team would make you feel. I'm sure, and here's my thing: is I'm sure if you went around, and I'm not trying to find I'm going to try to find. I'm going to do the little good, bad, and the ugly right now. Right now, there isn't really any teams in this league that I feel that are running away with it. There's no like two of the top teams in the league just played against each other last week or on Monday night, I should say, which would be the Niners and the Ravens. Ravens, of course, winning that game. So we saw the Niners lose. You saw the Cowboys lose, which was huge for us. And moving forward, because we're going to also look a little bit into the NFL schedule this week and moving forward. The Eagles have the Cardinals coming into town, the 12-3 Cardinals to be exact, run by former Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, which we're going to touch on some of the posts you would have seen on EoP Sports social media this today and in the last couple of days, posted by our boy Joey Sheeran, talking about players' reactions, teams' reactions, um, fan reactions to what's going on. And I actually might have some sound bites for you, courtesy of Al Thompson at footballstories.com. He covers the team, so he's got the inside track. So I might play a few of those for you tonight as well. So, what I'm saying about the good is the optimism for this team is that outside of a couple teams, the Eagles to me are still in the NFC top 4 easily team, even though they're not playing great. In the NFL top 5 easily. I just don't see any other team really running away with it. So if the team could somehow get things on track, we would see the possibility of improvement that they might be able to go on a bit of a run. I'm not going to sit here and pound my chest and say this team's a Super Bowl team. But this team also has an opportunity to be a Super Bowl team as long as you're in the playoffs. As long as you're in the playoffs, you have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And they've already made the playoffs. So there's the good. The bad is how this team has been playing. I am not a style point kind of guy. I've gone on record of saying that. I did the post game on Christmas with Matty B, and Pat Bernard. Me and Matty B and Pat kind of went all back and forth. I felt like I was kind of ganged up on there by those two, but hey, whatever. That's okay. That's what we do here at EoP. We talk sports and we take our lumps. Um, but, you know, I understand not being optimistic on this team. I don't understand burning it all down and starting all over again, but making some changes that need to be made. Um, but we won't know that until the time comes, and have some of these contracts. Will they belabor that idea? Will they make it a little harder to to move on from certain guys, like Darius Slay or James Bradbury? Let's talk about that position, that cornerback position. I mean, this day and age, being defensive player is difficult, especially a cornerback or a safety, because of the way everything's just really plays in favor of the offense, or the rules, I should say. Guys being age of 30 or over in that position have been is questionable at this day and age for how fast wide receivers are, how the rules play against them, like I just mentioned. But we got two of them. When the offseason, when it looked like Darius Slay was out of here, and we thought, oh, maybe they'll sign Bradbury, or maybe Bradbury's out of here, and we have new people coming in here. I was happy to see one of them come back. Both of them, I was a little shaky on, especially with the age and everything. I mean, Darius had a procedure to get rid of something that maybe possibly floating around in his knee or something that's not going to keep him out too long. He did not participate in practice this week, and maybe we will not see him back playing at all until the postseason. I don't know. We'll find out. Um, Other guy who's been injured, who had a little bit of a small thumb procedure, was a full participant, was Landon Dickerson, so that's a plus. Avante Maddox, it was a full participant as well. Nicholas Morrow was limited. Zach Cunningham also limited. Again, this defense has a lot of holes in it, had a lot of holes coming into it. I think that the thought process behind this season was we have a really good offense that can score a lot of points on a lot of teams, really give defenses a run for their money. And if we have a mediocre defense, we can get past that. Um, well, our offense has been snake bitten, is a term I used, because a lot of these things seem self inflicted, stupid maneuvers, out of place, tripping over your own feet type thing. That pickoff from the Giants this weekend when I think it was Dallas Goddard slid on the grass, and they just threw the ball right at the defender, pick six, bing bang boom. This was a whole new ball game. Some people would be blaming Jalen Hurts for that, or blaming Dallas Goddard. I don't know if it's just the situation played out the way it is. If he didn't fall, there's a good chance he at least doesn't let up an interception and a pick six, of course. But there's other times where the decision has been just poor decision making, and Jalen Hurts has been one of those guys. Again, not saying get rid of Jalen Hurts, but he's definitely had some regression in a quarterback from reading defenses and making judgment calls. Now, we've asked this question now for a few weeks now. Is it the play calling, or is it the execution of the play calling, or is it Jalen or the team playing hero ball? And disconnect from the team. And what I mean by disconnect, and I said I was going to jump in to some of the social media posts uh, by Edge Affiliates, mainly by Joe Sheeran. One of the trending things about earlier this afternoon was AJ Brown has made himself unavailable to media again this afternoon. He did the same same after Monday night's Christmas win over the Giants. Uh, and Joe asked the question, "What is his end game?" And it's a very good question. Are we by talking about it, are we giving him credence to his situation? What is the problem? I get it. All right, we they said if there's an internal problem, it should be handled internally. I agree with that. A team has an internal problem, bring it out to the media, bringing it out to fans. I don't see there any plus in it unless your idea is get me out of here. I don't think AJ Brown wants out of here, but is it AJ Brown not feeling like he's getting enough targets, getting enough opportunities? Um, I just always kind of don't care where. If I'm a decoy If I'm a O lineman blocking so we can throw the ball, run the ball, get to our wide receiver, get to our running back, I don't care. I just want to play. I just want to be on a winning team, be part of the team. There is 11 guys out there now. If it's AJ Brown's a little bit of a me situation, and how do you not think that this is a situation? Making yourself unavailable to the media. And he said he'll take a fine for it, and you do get fined because part of your contract is media availability. Listen, a lot of these questions that media guys ask are routine, borderline. Just why are you asking ridiculousness? But sometimes you just have to ask to put it out there to make sure that is the answer to it, or maybe somebody will say something that you weren't planning on them saying, and you get yourself a nice little sound bit. Um, But with that being said, uh, what is AJ Brown's end game is a really good question from Joe on this one. Like, what? Why? What do you gain out of this besides fracturing a locker room that we all kind of wondered if there is any disconnect, fracture, uh, just inconsistency, just something going not right in the locker room, and this does not help. It does not help. You know what? Here's my thing: is if you don't want to deal, quote unquote, with the media, give them short yes and no answers, or just be like, whatever it is, we'll work it out. Don't worry about it, guys. We're still a team. This team is 11-4, and it doesn't feel like they're 11. It feels like the opposite. It feels like they're 4-11. Um, but this doesn't help. This type of stuff does not help. And if there's any chance that a team like the Eagles can turn things around, it starts internally. So it's like kind of like a ransom demand almost. Like, what is your point here? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to say? Um, is maybe he's over Brian Johnson and they're not getting rid of him or making a change like they did on defense, and he wants a change on offense? I don't know, but this baby back BS is just not um, my cup of tea. Really, I don't like it. It just doesn't help. It's all negative for the team. It's negative for the organization, and it just incites an already easily incited fan base as it is. Like we don't need any more keyboard tough guys out there as it is. But I don't like when players make the game about themselves. Like that therein lies my major problem. You have took this team game away and made it a me game, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm dead wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. We won't know until um, until AJ comes out and says what he wants or what his problem is. But then at the same time, if his problem's internal and he's kind of taking the high road of got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. I don't know if I disagree with that or not. I'm kind of conflicted because I don't know. I can only go off what's been saying, what we're seeing or not hearing in this case. And I hope that this will somehow A, work itself out, but B, like whatever it is if this is the best way of him going about. But again, if he just wants to say, nothing or not really bring people in, and he has a little he's disheartened by some sort of situation with internally with inside the organization or in the locker room, I would hope he would just come out and say, listen, ask me about the game. I'm only going to answer questions about the game. How was I feeling about, could have been better or would have been nice. Again, I'm not a style points guy. I'm a W guy because at the end of the day, if you win a Super Bowl and you look back at it the year after, 10 years after, 100 years after, you don't sit there and go, well, that team barely beat teams to get there, but they won the Super Bowl. No, they just won the Super Bowl. Or they won well. Like, that's my point is, if you look back in the annals of history to this in 2023, at this point in time, you're going to look at an 11-14, hopefully a 13-14 at the end of this regular season. Guys, I want to remind you that this part of the show is brought to you by Sherry'sTickets.com. That's right, Sherry'sTickets.com, family owned and operated since 1946. Great fees for hard to get tickets, no hidden fees. when you check out. You're not going to get bamboozled at checkout. The price you see on the screen is the price you'll pay. Doesn't matter if you're in the Philadelphia area or not. Go to sherrystickets.com. Save 10% off these great prices by using that great promo code EOP10. That's right. EOP10 will save you 10% off at sherrystickets.com. Again, go to sherrystickets.com and use that promo code EOP10. And we're back. So let's get back into it. So the Eagles beat the Giants. We're looking at the Cardinals coming in. Cardinals, the only thing that really helped us out with this year is the early on beating the Cowboys, giving them one of their losses. Um, you know, I don't feel comfortable about any game at this point. I just don't. I don't feel comfortable about any game at this point at all. And I'm just kind of taking this watch and see mentality. Like I'm not sitting here saying this team sucks and they're done and they're toast. But I'm also not going to sit here and be rah rah, bang my chest. The Eagles are the best team in the league. I'm not going either way. I'm just wait and see if this team because you would say hopefully they get better. Yeah, we would hope. Or they haven't played the term we've used. They haven't played their best football yet. Well, what are you waiting for, guys? Are you just cruising? Are you like the NBA? Are you cruising through the regular season, and then when you get to the playoffs, you turn it on? Because it doesn't really work like that in the NFL. So let's look at a couple more of these messages. Or I'm sorry, posts. Jason Kelsey was talking about his offensive line miscues over a handful of games. He says we fixed that. I think everybody will be very, very surprised at how much that goes alone makes a difference in the outcome of these games. He talks about I've got a false start thing every game for the last 5 of them. There was a snap issue the last game, stuff like that. We're just having our way too much of. And he's owning it, and that's what you would hope a guy in his position would possibly do. Is own that problem, move forward, fix the issues. Um, you know, and it's that's all you can hope. Opposite of what we're seeing the AJ Brown situation, opposite of what we're talking about. With his standoffish situation. Joe just posted during the show here a few minutes ago. Eagles punt returner Britton Covey gained 44 yards over expected during his 54-yard return against the Giants. Covey is averaging 14.6 a game per return and leads the league in 20-plus yard punt returns with 7. That talk about a plus. Just talk about a huge plus from that situation. Like last year, special teams, huge miss. Like we, kind of hung in the wings as a possible problem. We were just hoping they would be kind of like mediocre, like not cause any problems, but don't need big plays from them. But like being the best part of the team this year is definitely a surprise going into it. Earlier, also, I think it was an ESPN magazine article, had Josh Sweat talking about playing Jonathan Gannon again against the Cardinals. And he simply put, in a few words, but we've got to whoop his ass. And I know a lot of these guys have, maybe some sort of allegiance to him. They played with him last year. Even Shaq Leonard played with him when he was with the Colts. So he knows, Jonathan Gannon intimately. But that's the whole situation. They just got to whoop his ass. Like this is a 3-12 team. I mean, it's simple as that. We hope to see a shellacking. I don't know. I like people like I feel like we beat one team handedly. They're gonna feel better. I honestly will not feel better. I will feel less strenuous during the game. Like my cardiologist is putting in the OT with this season. But I don't know if it would make me feel better. I don't know about you guys. I know what would make me personally feel better. It would be just for that one game. It would be nice to see a little bit of a cruise control game. But to me, it doesn't make me go, "Oh, this team's better now." We just play the Giants, who are a 5-win team. We're playing the Cardinals, who are a 3-win team, and we're having to play the Giants again at the end of the season. Like I said, 5-win team. Those beating on those teams, walloping teams like that don't make me feel better because those walloping will give us sometimes false hope. I would rather see, not say struggle, but I would rather see a solid game because these teams are going to give them their all. You got guys who are trying not to play for the NFL next year, maybe for a different team, maybe for their current team. I don't know. Ian saying 40-7 game. You're saying the Cardinals Eagles is going to be 47. I'm guessing Eagles. Ian, is that what you're trying to tell me, that you think they're going to win 40-7? God, I sure hope so. I sure hope so. It'd be nice to see them just get that monkey off their backs because, like I said, a lot of it's just been, um, self-inflicted, silly mistakes, just seeming out of sorts, and maybe a 40-7 game could cure some of those problems. Getting some of these defensive key players back, like Avante Maddox, if he can come back and be healthy for at least the playoff run. Getting Darius Slay back from his surgery, if he's, looking at this, if Darius, like, listen, everybody's had their complaints about Darius Slay this year, and he's had some good games and some bad games. Unfortunately, some of them outweigh the others, especially towards the end. Um, but Darius Slay, if he could just be better, if he can come back play better than he's been playing, if Avante Maddox comes back, I mean, I believe our defense takes a significant step forward. I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, we're going to be the best defense in the league, but some of the holes will be less glaring in this situation, especially from the linebacker situation. If Zach Cunningham comes back and Morrow come back healthy, and you can rotate them and Shaq Leonard into it, and those three guys can make are really alone aren't that great, but together better. I'm just going to use the term better. I'm not going to sit here and pump my chest any other way, but use the term better. Ian saying Eagles need to dominate someone. Haven't done it since the Tampa Bay game. I mean, did they even dominate then? I mean, they had a control game. I'll use the term control game. They did that game. They never felt out of it. But there was a lot of games in the beginning of the season they never felt out of it. Even those close games. The Dolphins game to me, I feel, was even more controlling. Got a little nervous in that first game against the Patriots. Got nervous in both Washington games. Um, the Buffalo game was too close for comfort, that's for sure. Even the Chiefs game. And listen, people are like, well, if you look back at those games, there's like one play difference between a win and a loss. Well, a lot of games end that way. So I don't subscribe to the fact that, if and not, if and then, if this happened or that happened, or but if not for this, we always saying is if and nuts or candies and butts, or if and butts or candies and nuts every day would be Christmas. Well, guess what? That's not the way it is, and that's not how things turn out. Sometimes you need a little luck to be a winner. But this team won a game, the first in 4 weeks. Again, not anointing them a great team, but it's a step in the right direction to maybe getting better, and maybe making a playoff push, and depending on how things play out. And like I said, we're going to take a quick peek at the NFL schedule this week. We discussed some of the injuries, some of the positives and negatives, the good, bad, and the ugly of this team. Um, but let's just look at the NFL in a nutshell. I just want to go through this week's schedule real quick and just real fast, kind of blow through it, and just kind of give a little comment on each team. Um, and just kind of show how things are moving in the right direction. And this last week was a huge positive for the Eagles with the loss up for the Cowboys. Dolphins came up big for us. The loss of the Niners, that makes things a little bit, keeps things in our control a little bit more. I doubt the Niners are going to lose this week. For the fact that they're going up against the Commanders, who are just a bad team right now. So it comes down to, they play the Rams the last week of the season, and the Rams have a lot to play for. Right now they're 8-7. They're playing the Giants. I mean, this week, most likely, I mean, outside of the Giants just stepping up, the Rams will win that, be 8-8, and they're in the playoff line as it is. So that continues them in the playoff line, and they don't need the Niners knocking them out. And if it depends on the Niners situation, but I would imagine they're going to play all their starters. and it's a divisional game, so that could be an interesting watch next week. But this week, you know, you get the Jets and the Browns. Browns are an interesting story again. 10-5. They lost their quarterback. They're, you know, the most expensive quarterback in the league right now. Um, and you know, Joe Flacco, who I've never been a huge fan of, has you know, he's given his team some life. Definitely a playoff push. The Jets, I'm not going to get into that. Another big matchup Saturday gives you something to watch on Saturday. The only Saturday matchup is Lions Cowboys, and that's a big conversation to have right now, because the Lions are 11-4, the Cowboys are 10-5 after their loss. Looking at the standings, you know, from the conference standpoint, Cowboys are in the fifth spot right now. Now, normally I'd say you want the Cowboys to lose, maybe 10-6 and keeps them out of there. But if we win and Detroit wins, they're both 11-5. The tiebreaker. It's not something you really want. You want to limit those tiebreakers. You know, right now they're tied 11-4 with San Fran. But San Fran has the tiebreaker because they beat us handedly. So technically for our psyches, you kind of want or for our to make things a little bit more in the control of the Philadelphia Eagles. You technically are going to want Detroit to lose that game. Then they will be both 11-5. And if we win, we'll be 12-4. Both will be behind us. There's no tiebreaker. But right now, even if they're tied, we technically have the upper hand. But like I said, we don't need anything kind of playing in the favor of the Lions and just trying to keep guys down in front of us. And then San Fran, you know, like I said, most likely will be losing or winning this week outside of some just crazy upset. But looking at another big game that was to play this week, Dolphins Ravens. Dolphins who beat the Cowboys last week. The Ravens who beat the Niners last week. You know, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because that's for the AFC top spot. And two really good teams. Dolphins kind of got a little bit of a monkey off their back. They beat a good team. Cowboys, you know, Cowboys and the Ravens are just looking like, you know, the AFC outside the Dolphins. You know, those two look like the two top AFC teams to represent in the Super Bowl this year. The Bills have New England, who they should beat, but you never know. It's always a divisional game, but they're, you know, in that playoff hunt. They look like a good team right now. Falcons are playing the Bears. Falcons have something to play for because that 7-8, the magical number down there in the NFC South. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. Titans are at Houston. Houston has not been playing some great ball at all. But they're 8-7 in a playoff hunt. The surprising Raiders are 7-8 going up against the 8-7 Colts. Should be an interesting game. I really think the Raiders have this one. They really have turned a corner and playing with a lot of heart. Panthers and Jags. I mean, it's Jags got a backup quarterback. The Panthers are garbage. I don't know if it's worth watching. And then you got the Saints and Bucks. Again, that NFC South matchup. Saints are trying to win to stay in it. Because if say the Jags win, the Saints win, and the Bucks win, the Saints will still be one game behind, but both the Bucks and the Jags will be 9-7. Like I said before, the Niners play Washington. I think that's all but a done deal. Steelers and Seahawks. Seahawks are looking for that spot. Keep that spot in the wild card. They're 8-7. They host the Steelers. The Broncos, you know, pretty much sounds like they're moving on from Russ. He will not be cooking anytime soon in a Broncos uniform, and they're playing the Chargers. So that is the irrelevant game of the week right there: Chargers versus Broncos. Bengals take on 8-7. Bengals take on the 9-6 Chiefs. Be interesting. And then the Sunday night matchup, not really interesting unless you're in that division and or one of the fans of this team. 7-8 Packers go to the 7-8 Vikings, both, you know, bidding for a playoff spot. But just kind of looking at the overall major picture from a playoff positioning, you know, could they get that second spot, get a home field also unless they play the Niners in, you know, that championship game. It'd be interesting to find out what's going on, guys. I'll remind you that this part of the show is brought to you by PhillySportsTrips.com. That's right, PhillySportsTrips.com have multiple trips. Like I said, all Christmas long, what a great gift it would be. Maybe you haven't got to your family yet. You're out of town. You're going in and out of town. Travel with them. It's still a chance to get it. Or you're just looking to you go to some fun. Here you go. You got the outdoor series, February 17th at MetLife Stadium. The Flyers take on the Devils. That's right. The Flyers take on the Devils at MetLife Stadium outdoors. Go with phillysportstrips.com. You can't beat it. Great price, great atmosphere, great time. Just all around, just a great time with Philly Sports Trips. Big Sixers fans. Sixers right now up 89-83 with about 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're doing a Los Angeles takeover from March 22nd and 25th to catch a couple Sixers game out west. And if you're looking to get a little warmth in your life for the Phillies, they got plenty of spring training games up. Go to phillysportstrips.com and tell them EoP sent you. So let's jump in. Let's talk a little bit about these Sixers. Like I said, they're up 6 points right now with less than 9 minutes in the game against the Magic. They are Embiid-less in Orlando. They were Embiid-less on Christmas. You know, all that jive about, all the talk about the Eagles and the Sixers both playing on Christmas gets you super excited. Then you go to find out that both Embiid and Jimmy Butler did not play in that game. A lot of people had this kind of inclination that maybe Embiid is taking the Christmas night off. But obviously that wasn't the case. You got Orlando Magic, who are kind of pulling a rabbit out of their hat. Ha ha ha! I know, funny. And they're in fourth place right now. And the Magic is usually bottom base in the NBA all the time as of recently, but they are playing some good ball right now. And Anthony Melton hit another pretty three. It's good to see. But right now, Sixers are up 92-83. But Nick Nurse did come out with some reassuring news about Embiid's ankle, that he's at home getting some treatment, but also doing some court work with his ankle injury, which hopefully means he is going to have a close return. I know, Tyrese Maxey didn't have a great game Christmas night, and is definitely having a much better game tonight. Let me get the current stats on this game for you. Here you go, Magic. 27 minutes, he scored 20 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Yes, doing much better tonight than he has as of the last night. And listen, he's had a couple off nights here and there, but overall, Tyrese Maxey has been phenomenal and has kind of filled that role that we were afraid that James Harden was leaving and not having Jimmy Butler or another superstar. Is Tyrese Maxey a superstar in in the making? All arrows seem to be pointing to yes in this situation. But overall, like I said, injury report update. Right now, until this game is over, the Sixers are 20-9, third in the conference, with the Magic right behind them by 2 games. So hopefully looking to make it a 3-game cushion. They are 3 games out of first and 1.5 games out of second, with both Milwaukee in front of them at second and the Celtics at in first place in the conference. They have the Rockets on Friday and the Bulls on Saturday. And when this game ends, the Sixers post game here at EoP will go live, covering this game and breaking it all down for you. So you check in at eopsports.com or on all our social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the ones, and so check that out. So that I'll keep you up to date on the Sixers. Like I said, there's about a little more than 7 minutes left in the game, and they are up 11 points. Sorry, I gotta look at that. It kind of flashed it all on off the screen. They are up 11 points right now, so that is a huge plus for your 76ers. Let's talk about the Flyers, who are currently not playing. They're on their holiday break. Last game they played, which was a doozy of a game, was on Friday, December 22nd, and they play again tomorrow. So they have a nice little, winter break, holiday break, Christmas break, whatever you want to call it. They went into into a shootout again, but that wasn't really the story of the game. I did the post game for the Clear the Ice for that, and also wrote you an article kind of breaking it all down. But that game, what made that game interesting was It was 5-1 in the at the first intermission. That was a game that I don't blame anybody if I wasn't covering it. I might have done it myself. I might have turned it off. But Carter Hart did not get pulled, which I was a little surprised with Torts. He left him in there, and he was able to play much better. And by the end of the second period, it was all a whole new ball game. It was 5-3, with the Flyers still trailing, but not too long into the third period. I believe it was Scott Lawton and I forget who the other one was. They made it. They tied the game up 5-5. They actually got the lead, went 6-5, and were able to, unfortunately, unable to hold on to the lead, uh, with a really pretty if you were a Red Wings fan, and ugly if you were a Flyers goal, which tied it in OT. Both goalies stood on their head in OT. But the shootout was where Carter Hart really didn't have a real great outcome, and they lost in the OT. But got that point, which instead of sending them into, losing the Predators 4-2, and it would have been more like 3-2, but they had a empty netter, and then losing handedly, which could have happened to the Red Wings, and then going kind of into the break, kind of with that thought in the back of their head. And then now they're going to be coming out on a West Coast or Northwest kind of swing. They're playing the Canucks tomorrow at 10, the Kraken on Friday at 10, the Flames on Sunday at 8 o'clock, and you got the Oilers at 9 on Tuesday. They don't come back from this northwest swing until Thursday, January 4th, against the Blue Jackets, and then they're home for 1, 2, 3, 4 games. So it'll be interesting to see how this play out. And like I said, it's a wait and see situation with these Flyers. Are they contenders? People have asked me, are they selling or are they buying at the deadline? At this point, I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. Not that I don't care. Let me rephrase that. I don't care which way they go with it. If you're going to be buyers, make sure you're not giving up the farm for somebody just because you think this year's a possibility of winning the cup. But if you're also going to be sellers, make sure you're not giving anybody away for peanuts. Other piece of kind of Flyers related news. The Russian president came out pushing for contracts in KHL 4 to 5 years, which will hurt us with some current big prospects, including the most biggest one is Mitchkov. Trying to press these guys to um, stay in Russia and play for 4 to 5 years. And that, again, not the worst window for us. I mean, 4 years would be 3 more years. You're looking at, 20, 26, 27. But you would hope it would be sooner, especially as this team continues to grow, continues to be exciting as they are. I mean, that's a key factor here. I mean, we all kind of hope to see some of the young guys grow, but the excitement that this team has, there's no quit. We're never out of it. This underdog mentality, that dog mentality we hear about a lot from other teams in this city. It's good to see. I mean, they're right now in 33 games. They're 18, 11, and 4 with 40 points, third in the Metro. Only one game out of second, behind the Islanders, and I think like 7 games behind the Rangers. But again, a very fun, exciting young team where vets are stepping up, and I think getting energized by these young guys, getting feeling better about what might have been a down, what we all kind of chalked up as a down season. We all thought it was going to be people were upset when they were winning in the first month or 4 to 6 weeks of the season. Now we're a little further into it. It's like, all right, these guys are good and we're okay with it. And like I said before, you don't have to tank to get good players. We had a really good draft last year and we got one of those good players. Worked out in our favor. Like if a lot of these guys are playing better than you thought, they either become really good trade pieces in the future, or they're young guys. You're going to leave the chance for the cap not to be a problem when you want to sign that good vet. And I'm not talking about Johnny Gaudreau for those who are out there going, oh, maybe he's talking about Johnny No, I'm not talking about Johnny Hockey, guys. But again, Flyers are exciting, playing some great hockey. They're on their Christmas break. They have their winter break. They'll be returning to action tomorrow. Like I said, so Northwest swing, Northwest United States, Western Canada swing, which is always a bit of a bugaboo for your Philadelphia Flyers. So we'll see how this young team does. Um, so here we go. Let's change gears a second. But well, before we do, I want to remind you guys that this part of the show is brought to you by CherryInjuryLaw.com. That's right, David R. Cherry is the man with a plan. Workers' comp, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. 610-565-0300. Go to CherryInjuryLaw.com. David Archer will fight for your rights at charityinjurylaw.com and hopefully get you the care you need and the appropriate compensation you need for your loss. So go to charityinjurylaw.com or call him at 610-565-0300 and tell David Archer that we sent you here at EoP. Let's give you guys a quick Sixers update. It is 96 to 87, so 9 points up. Sixers are with about 5.5 minutes left in this game. Hopefully they can hold on. Like I said, no Joel Embiid. Positive reinsurance from Nick Nurse that he'll be possibly back sooner than later. With an ankle injury, he hasn't played since he didn't play on Christmas, and he hasn't played, of course, not playing tonight. I believe Tobias Harris is having a decent game as well. He has 20 points as well as Tyrese Maxey. D'Anthony Melton is 16 points as well, and Marcus Morris Sr. with 14 points. So that is huge. The Sixers are 7 for 24 from 3 tonight. They're 11 from 16 from free throw range, which is a little low for them. They're at 68%. It's a little low. I don't know if not having Embiid in tonight has stunted that a little bit. And they are 39 of 86, or 45.3% field goal. So pretty even in the rebound, 39-36 favoring the Magic right now. But the offensive rebounds go to the Sixers 11 to 8, and the defensive rebounds go to the Magic 31 to 25. The blocks are the key thing. There's 9 blocks from Magic with 5 from the Sixers, but the big difference is biggest stats, right? Steals are 12 to 3 in favor of the Sixers, but the turnovers are 18 and 8 as well as in favor of the Sixers. So that's a plus. And the points in the paint, huge difference. 50 to 36. So that's what you're seeing right now from your 76ers. Like I said, 96-87, 4.5 minutes left in this game. So let's talk about a little warmer sport, little Philadelphia Phillies. So the Yamamoto conversation is over. He is a Dodger along with Otani. So him and Shohei are part of the Dodgers organization. We've already talked about Shohei's contract stipulation, which is just hugely favorable for the Dodgers, which probably made him signing Yamamoto to a $300+ million 5-year contract, which is just outlandish for a guy who has never pitched a game or threw a pitch in the. I mean, he throws some amazing games in Japan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he can't, but a lot of money for a guy who's never thrown a pitch in the majors. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. But Yamamoto is off the board, but it would have been nice to see him in the Phillies pinstripes, along with newly signed Aaron Nola, maybe Christopher Sanchez, Walker. But the other name is that's out there is Zach Wheeler, who will be on his last year of his contract this year. So the Phillies have made it known that their biggest thought process right now is a contract extension for Zach Wheeler. Philly should extend Wheeler and sign Hader. Yeah, so I don't know about signing Hader per se, but Philly should extend Wheeler. Agreed, depending on what the extension is. But what are the Phillies going to do? Like, all right, they signed Nola. He was the best free agent out there from a starting. He's the devil we know versus the devils we don't know. We lost on the Yamamoto lottery. And that's been about it, Mike. And other than that, it's like the meme where the guy's poking the body with the stick, like, or the rock with the stick, like going, do something. That's what it's kind of felt with like these Phils. Like there hasn't been much movement outside of some small contracts with minor league guys and things like that. The Phillies need a legit ninth inning closer. All good teams have one. I agree with that. I don't know if the Phillies as an organization 100% agrees with that. But ultimately, it's just been um, kind of quiet on the Phillies home front. Like there was the Nola thing. Honestly, I didn't have Nola returning here. You know, and I guess we talked about did Aaron Nola play the wait and see game, and did he gamble on himself? And like towards the end of the season, like when he kind of fell apart in the playoffs, kind of thought he might have hedged his bets a little too much. But ultimately, no, he did not hedge his. He probably made out much better than he would do if he signed a contract extension in the preseason, off season of last year. Um, but I'm not saying we don't need a legitimate closer. I don't know if Hader's the guy, but he is a good closer. He's a little bit of a head case, but I think all closers are, to be honest with you, Mike. They all have a little bit of a tweak to them. What's Mike also saying? The closer by committee don't work. Normally, yeah. I mean, normally, yeah. I mean, there's some places where it does work but usually it's because you got guys you have a couple guys who have a closer's mentality. But it is good for these guys to know coming in that, all right, I'm the closer. I'm going to be guy closing. I'm going to be the setup guy, or we're the setup guys, depending on lefty versus righty matchup. Like those kind of things will definitely play into it. But I do like having my bullpen have more roles, more defined roles, I should say, going into the game. So, well, if not Hader, a closer in trade. Again, I'm not saying I wouldn't be excited if we got Hader. Hader is a very good closer. Um, but I would like to see them make some move somewhere. I'm just do something. I don't expect a trade Turner, excuse me, a trade Turner type of contract player signing. But I do expect a little something. I know left field has been a conversation. Rojas has been putting the work in to get his bat better. We had this conversation, me and Joe, last show about how Rojas was batting 300 in the regular season, but just kind of the bright lights of the playoffs. I don't know if they got to him or whatever it is. But there is some other areas of concern. I like to see a bench piece, to be honest with you. I'm okay with starting with the top nine, but guys who can come off the bench who can produce. But if you're going to bring somebody in, I would like to see somebody who, I like to see the Phillies take on a little bit more of a small ball mentality. We need a closer. I'm surprised we haven't signed one yet already. I'm kind of surprised that Hader hasn't been signed. Like the Phillies have been sitting on their hands. The Dodgers have been just making all the right moves, but they'll go 150 in the regular season and then blow it in the first or second round of the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes for them. I like Shohei Ohtani. Well, how many playoff games has he really been part of? Not many. I like Yamamoto, but he hasn't played a lick of baseball in the major league. So I'm not like, oh, the Dodgers, oh, this, that, and the other, the Dodgers. Like, I'm not going to get too overworked about the Dodgers situation. At the same time, I'm not going to look past it. This team needs to upgrade in some areas, but like I said, I'm hoping, and if you guys agree or don't agree, and some sort of small ball mentality. Mike's chiming back in here saying also one thing has to happen. Harper is the captain. He needs to go to Schwarber and tell him you're protecting me in batting fourth with no questions asked by Schwarber. All this should happen because Robbie has no sack to do it. Yes, for those who are new to the show, our boy Mad Mike Papernick, is not a big fan of Rob Thompson. Um, I mean, listen, this is a conversation to be had, and I've kind of been on both sides of the conversation. I tiptoed the line, I guess, to say D'Anthony Mount with another three. It's really stroking it tonight. Right now, just for those who are checking in. The Sixers, like I said, mute this, but the Sixers are up 109-89 with a minute and a half left in the game. So a little solid defense here, and this game can be closed out. And I'll probably be going off the air right about that time. And then the boys will be taking on the Get Process post game show to discuss this very game. So stay tuned for that as well. So yeah, like Mike's saying, is he's hoping uh, that Schwarber goes to that fourth spot, and with the power bat that he has, a traditional power bat he has shows he can do it. But also analytics show he doesn't produce as much in that fourth spot. He does better with and don't tell me, Mike, you don't get excited for the Phillies when you get a leadoff moonshot to really set the tone of the game because I believe the Phillies had some like crazy good record winning percentage. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, they're like 8-1 or something like that, or 9-1 or 10-1 when they were, well, when there's a leadoff home run from Kyle Schwarber. I mean, it does make a difference. It is we use the term tone setter for the Phil. So it's like that's why um, I've kind of never sat and like taken a stance on it. And a little bit, just so you guys know, a little bit of somewhat breaking news. Eric Allen is now a finalist for the 2024 NFL Hall of Fame game. Eric Allen's name's been thrown out there a lot. Um, but, it would be good to see him in the Hall of Fame. Another Eagle take the Hall of Fame. But, there is some news out there talking about that. So that is huge for Eric Allen and the Eagles organization and the Eagles family as a whole. Um, And just so you know, and happy 40th birthday. I didn't know I was a year older than Cole Hamels, but I'm a year older than Cole Hamels because I'll be 41 in a week or something like that. A little bit more than a week. A week from tomorrow, I believe it is. The 4th of January, for anybody who cares. Harper is the star and should be like any other star and pull a power move over Robbie. Listen, Bryce Harper's been I don't say pulling power moves. The guy's still has 8 years on his contract. He's asking for more money. If you ask me, that's the ultimate power move there, Mike. When Harper's getting walked and nobody is moving him along or picking him up, we'll see how everybody feels. I agree with you, Mike. I want to see somebody back there who can produce at the very least, a more clutch hitter. It doesn't have to be home runs or anything, but just a more clutch hitter, because that's what ultimately killed us in the playoffs. That's what ultimately the last few games in the NLCS after that 10-0 or 10-1 route, whatever it was, routing that the Eagles did on the Phillies did on the Diamondbacks. They lived by the long ball and they definitely died by the long ball, and they just kept going for the long ball. And so, I agree with you. They weren't afraid of many players. They weren't afraid of Nick Castellanos at the way end of the season. He looked to revert back to some of his uh, bad habits. They respected Schwarber, respected Harper. They really didn't respect Bohm. And way last couple games, especially the Trey Turner respect really wasn't there. A lot of guys started to fall off, and it looked like this team went into panic mode. And you kind of had this eerie feeling, and you didn't want to say it out loud, but you know. But Mike, I'm not fighting you, Mike. I'm just saying, they're going to go by the numbers where his numbers are much more better against in the leadoff spot, and he's not your traditional leadoff guy. But I would love to see if Bryson Stott continues to hit like he does, or Trey Turner continues to hit like he did in that one spot. But it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. Um, and it looks like the Sixers have won this game 112-92. That is your final for your 76ers. So in just a few moments, the Get Process Sixers post game show here at EoP will be going on. So that means I'll be wrapping it up right about now, just to make life easier, so you don't have to choose between which one you want to watch. But Mike, everybody, Ian, all you guys, thank you for Ryan too. Thank you for joining in tonight, being my co-host of sorts. My other two co-hosts, Joe Sheeran and Fred Burns, will be back in the new year with us. Other than that, guys, I want to thank our great sponsors. And let's start with our boy David Arteri, cherryenergylaw.com, or call him simply at 610-565-0300 for workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law needs. David Arteri is your man. And how about sherrystickets.com? all your sports, concert, and theater needs. I don't care where you're at in the country. Go to SureYourTickets.com. No hidden fees at checkout. Great prices and save that additional 10% off using that promo code EoP10. That's right, EoP10 will save you 10% off. And don't forget Philly sports trips. They got a trip going out to LA in March for Sixers games. You got the Flyers doing the outdoor game on February 17th against the Devils. They even have packages for the London tailgate for when the Mets and the Phillies meet in the UK this year, and plenty of spring training games to be had. Go to phillysportstrips.com and check it all out. Other than that, guys, I will be seeing you next time. Let's see. I'll catch you next time for my co-host Joe, my co-host Fred. Guys, enjoy the rest of your year. We'll see you in 2024. Happy New Year's. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. But other than that, I'm Big Al, and it was always a pleasure talking with you and talking sports with you. I will see you guys next time.